Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today, I want to talk to you about lessons. I know a lot of people say that when bad things happen or difficult things happen, it's important that we learn our lessons so we can move forward with life in a better way. And I'm all for all of us learning lessons of things that we'd like to change or things we'd like to do better or just new awarenesses that we'd like to walk around with. But I often find what happens that instead of our lessons turning into wisdom, sometimes we take our lessons and we hold on to them through stories. And in order to explain this, I'm going to give you an example of a client of mine years ago. And this client was in a relationship with a man for about a year. And towards the end of the relationship, she found that he was cheating on her. And she was quite devastated. And as she recounts the story, she says that she felt she compromised herself. She stayed in the relationship too long. She did things that she regrets. And after spending a lot of time in pain and feeling sad, she did a lot of work on herself. And she decided that she was ready to move forward in a new relationship. But when she referred to this relationship that she was looking for, she always referred back to her ex-boyfriend. I'm going to make sure this guy is not like my ex-boyfriend. I'm going to make sure this guy doesn't treat me like my ex-boyfriend, doesn't lie like my ex-boyfriend. But the problem was, instead of allowing her lesson to turn into wisdom, she was bringing her ex-boyfriend into her new relationship. She was holding on to the story of her ex-boyfriend as the measuring stick of what was good and what was bad. And the problem with that is that it's holding on to the pain. It's holding on to the memory. It's holding on to the story. And what happens, it makes us rigid. It makes us not being able to totally heal. Because the truth of her story, and even if you've asked her, was that she felt that she didn't love herself enough in the relationship. She didn't respect herself enough. So she did all this great work on self-love, on respect. And what she didn't realize is that by loving herself, that was the wisdom. So if she was out with a new person, she was on a date, and someone said something that wasn't kind, wasn't respectful, or she got involved with somebody and something didn't feel right, if she was coming from this place of self-love, which had turned into her wisdom, she would just know. And she didn't need to bring the story of her ex-boyfriend into every event that happened. Oh no, now you're acting like my ex-boyfriend, so this must be bad. And I can't be with you because of this. All it was doing, it was clouding her judgment. It was bringing the pain forward. It was making her feel uptight. It was making her feel scared and worried. And we don't realize that we don't need to hold on to the stories, because the stories of the past is what limits us. It makes us so fearful that we'll have a similar experience again, that we don't really incorporate the wisdom. So as we worked on this, and she realized that she did work on loving herself more, she was very clear how she wanted to be treated, with a sense of respect, and she had so much more trust for herself that she didn't need to have a list of red flags. She didn't need to have a list of what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable, which always brought up the old pain. Instead, all she needed to do was come to the moment in a kind, loving, respectful way to herself, and she would always know. And that's what wisdom is. Wisdom allows us to cultivate a knowing. It allows us to move forward with more love and more creativity instead of fear. Because if we think that every lesson we have is to protect ourselves from not getting hurt in the future, we're never really going to be open-hearted to have a new experience. And we forget that we lived through that past experience. So if it did happen again, we know we would be okay. And I also see this happen with people in business. If they fail at a business, they're like, I'm never going to open another business again. Look what happened. But again, that's the story. It's what did you learn? And once you learn it, it's in you. You don't need to carry the story with you. And this is not easy, to have something happen to you that causes you a lot of pain, whether it be in business or personal, and let go of that story because we think the story is protecting us. And we don't realize that there comes a time when the story is hurting us. And that if we let go of the story and we become very present with our life today, when of course we're done dealing with the emotions and processing the experience. If we can come to the moment and allow that lesson to be integrated into wisdom, we will be able to use our knowing and our strength and our resilience and our self-love to guide us forward. And we won't be limited. We won't be limited by yesterday. And I truly think that this is the difference between people who are able to love again after they're really hurt, or people who go bankrupt are able to start a new business. Because they just don't hang on to the story of what happened. They just hang on to the wisdom and also the knowledge. If you're in business and you weren't financially savvy or you didn't sign contracts, well, if you just know that you have to do it going forward, you don't have to constantly be thinking about the guy who was not honest with you, the guy who ripped you off, the guy who put you out of business. And I know it's hard because we're talking about letting go of stories of tremendous things that happen in our lives, things that really hurt us, that devastated us. But if we want to move forward and we want to create a new life, then only when the lessons turn into wisdom will we be truly free. And I'm not saying that if you hold on to the stories, you can't move forward. Of course, people move forward in all different ways. But there's something about letting go of the story and the hurt and the pain and allowing life to come in new again. And it was so interesting, this client that I'm speaking about, she really was able to put self-love and trust first. And that's how she entered into her new relationship. And in fact, she's married today to somebody new. And I haven't heard her speak about that old relationship in the longest time, because self-love and self-trust are her number one values today. And that's her point of reference. And that's what I'm saying is, like, the point of reference, if it can come from the wisdom that you learned from the past experiences and not the story, then you're free. You're free to move forward. But you don't want to bring your ex-boyfriend into your new life, or your ex-husband into your new life, or your ex-partner in business into your new life, because then they're still with us. And if they're still with us, then the pain is still with us. But if we take the time to say, what did I need to see here? And sometimes we couldn't have controlled what happened to us. And that's what's interesting too. Sometimes you don't even see it coming. There's nothing to prepare. So you could only look at how you want to be moving forward. What will serve you moving forward? There's only room for you moving forward. That story that you have about the past will just crowd the room. And it won't allow you the air and the space and the breath you need to create the new life that you're looking for. So it's important we feel what we need to feel about the things that happen to us in life. If there are lessons that we need to learn, we need to try to look at them to understand it, to understand our role, maybe understand how we deal with people, understand our perceptions, how we see the world. And sometimes we might learn how to do business in a better manner, how to approach people in a different manner. But if we don't clear the slate, everything that's ever happened to us before comes with us. And that's a lot to carry moving forward. It creates doubt, it creates worry, and it creates so much negativity to carry the story of the person that hurt us with us every day. And I'm not saying that you're never going to think about that person who might have screwed you over in business or broke your heart. We're human. But I could assure you don't want to be sitting in a new relationship letting someone from your past control how you act and control how you think and control how you feel. And you don't want to not start a new business because someone else didn't act properly. And you don't want to pass up that new job because you didn't have a great boss before. And we could do it all differently if we just think about the lessons and how to convert them into wisdom and knowing and let go of the fear. We have so many more opportunities to expand, to create, to find new love, to find new jobs, to find new opportunities without so much pain, and with more love and more kindness to ourselves. And it really is a beautiful way to create our best lives. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could also subscribe on iTunes and leave a comment.